for women's sports as UPenn agrees to follow President Trump's mandate and ban transgender women from female sports teams. The Ivy League school will also revoke trans swimmers of her titles, and all female athletes displaced by Thomas will be reinstated and get a written apology from the school. Thomas's former teammates. We have Margot Kaczorowski. We also have Ellen Holmquist. They've both filed a lawsuit against the university earlier this year, and they're also joined by their attorney, Bill Bott. Good morning to all of you.
Morning.
Morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, Margot, I'll start with you because you were in two of the same events as Lia Thomas. You were denied your win because Lia was competing, your recognition. So how does this new news affect you?
Yeah, so I try to think about it more on like a broader scale because I'm really not doing this for myself or anything. What I went through was hard enough, but really I'm doing this for the future generation of girls to go through the program, to go through D1 athletics, and I really want just what's best for them. So I would like for women's rights to be upheld to the utmost standard and for those titles and records to come down.
Is this enough for you, what they did?
It's a good starting point, and I'm really grateful for the Trump administration and what they are doing to protect women, but there's so much more to go. Doing this without the federal government forcing them. So I think we have a long way to go to make sure that women's rights are upheld and policies are in place to ensure the verification process that it's only females in women's sports.
Okay.
Hey, ain't that Raleigh? That's Raleigh. That's Raleigh. Ain't it? That's Raleigh.
Okay. Now, Ellen, you were left off the 2022 Ivy Championship team roster because Lia Thomas participated. You missed that by one spot. So this latest news doesn't mean that you're competing again. It doesn't mean that can change that. How do you feel?
I think this is a good step in the right direction. Like Margot said, I'm really doing this for future Penn swimmers, future young girls that want to compete in college sports, and make sure that this situation that happened to me never happens to someone else in the future. But there are still a lot of steps that need to be taken by Penn and other universities that have been going down this path. So I'm excited to see the change and appreciate the administration and the help of icons with this.
Okay, Bill, you were the lead attorney in the investigation of Lance Armstrong. You have a lot of experience with sports laws and Title IX cases. What do you think about this?
Well, the interesting thing, Ainsley, is that at the same time they're telling President Trump at the University of Pennsylvania that there are 4 women in women's sports and they're going to protect them. They're fighting Margot and Ellen and their teammate Grace in court, and they have an acknowledged responsibility in court. So we're seeing very inconsistent positions from the University of Pennsylvania, and which is why we're continuing to pursue the lawsuit against the school.
Yeah, we're all wondering if other schools will follow suit. Why do you think, what did it? I know that President Trump and the Department of Education, they were the ones going after UPenn. What changed UPenn's mind?
Well, more than $100 million was on the line, and I think they simply made a decision to say what the president wanted them to say and make a commitment. But it's not a binding commitment. That's why we're continuing the lawsuit, to get a judge to tell them what Title IX means and tell them to stop changing your position and have one position of protecting, defending women and their opportunities like the law requires.
Margot and Ellen, the school says they're going to send personalized apologies.
My thing is, what I don't understand is, why aren't there more women fighting for this? Why aren't there more women fighting for this? You have biological men competing in women's sports. Now, let me preface it by saying this. No, this is not me being homophobic. I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care how you operate. I don't care about none of that. I don't. As long as it don't impede on my life, I'm perfectly fine with it, right? Do your thing. Do you, dog, because either way, it don't matter. It don't mean shit to me. Do what you got to do, right? But when it comes to biological men, I want to continue to keep prefacing that. When it comes to biological men being in women's sports, that's a no-go, and that should have been a no-go right out the gate. I don't care how many pills you take or all the medication or what things you had to cut or what surgeries you go under. At the end of the day, you're still a biological male. you still have a biological makeup of a male. You're still stronger, bigger, bone density is a lot, bone density, all of that shit. So you can transform all you want. You can put the mask on. You can hide behind the costume all you want. You still a man, and vice versa. For the women who want to be men, who swear that they are men, no, ma'am, it don't work that way. I'm sorry, but again, it does not mean that I'm homophobic or anything like that. No, that's not what that means. But this should not be a thing, and there should be far more women, especially all of these feminists. All of the feminists, oh, it's about women's rights. It's the ones who hoorah and woe is me. They should be the main ones on the forefront, on the front line, fighting this shit tooth and nail. This should not have been a thing. This should not be a thing. It shouldn't. Men need to be in men's sports. Women need to be in women's sports. And if those men can't compete in men's sports, oh well, just go find something else to do, bro. You just gonna have to quit sports. Because how can you, as a man, as a competitor, in your head, you feel as if, well, you know what, I can't compete with these other fellas. So what I'm gonna do, because I feel this way in my head, I feel like, mind you, I feel like I was born the wrong person. I feel as if I was born the wrong gender. Cool. You can feel however you want to feel. At the end of the day, you're still a man. So that don't mean you got the right to go play in women's sports. And now you feeling accomplished because you went and beat a whole bunch of women and you're a biological male. Make that shit make sense to me. Can somebody make it make logical sense without throwing their feelings into it? That's a fair point. That's a fair point, Tyler. That's a fair point. Most women aren't big on sports. That's probably why. And that's a great point. And that's a huge problem. But a lot of women fight this feminist. They got this feminist movement. A lot of women want this empowerment. But then you got men who want to be in women's sports. They need to fight that regardless. They need to fight it across the board, not just for their own personal benefit or this certain job that they want to be in or this certain industry that they want. No, across the board. They need to fight for that across the board. Because you got a lot of feminists who talk about women empowerment, but at the same time, you're trying to empower T-girls or transgenders. How does that work? So you're empowering a biological man to become more feminine, but yet you're fighting the very thing. You're going against another man, so you're kicking yourself in the fucking foot. Should have told the nigga, nope. If you want to compete, go back over there with the fellas. Go do your own thing. Don't come over here fucking up with what we got. It's already bad enough that a lot of women don't support sports anyway. And then now you want to come over here and take everything? Nah, big dog. You gotta get up out of here. Bag him up.
Letters to the affected female swimmers. Have either of you received a letter? Margot, I'll start with you.
Yes, I did receive a letter last night, and while they, are kind of acknowledging what went on that year, they're really not taking, full accountability the way that I wish that they would. And I think that they have an opportunity here if they're going to accept responsibility to then work with us, work with girls who actually want to see change, and ensure that women's rights are protected going forward. But they're not doing that. Mm-hmm. They're still fighting us. I'm hoping that they can kind of get on that path.
Okay. Ellen, how about you? Did you receive a letter?
I also did receive a letter in that same vein. It was more so passing the blame onto the NCAA, saying they were abiding the rules at that time, and these are the rules at this time, so it wouldn't be allowed now. But it's really not acknowledging the fact that that was completely wrong in the time of 2022. So I'm hoping that things start to change and they take this opportunity to take full responsibility in court.
Yeah, I'm sorry it didn't change things for you ladies, but I am glad for the future generations. Thank you so much. Margot, Ellen, Bill, thanks for getting up early for us.
Thank you,
Ainsley.
You're welcome.
Yeah, big dog. It's a no for me. You already wrong. You was already on the wrong side anyway. That should not be a thing. That should not have been a thing. So now you got to correct it. And you're doing just that by taking those titles away from Leah Thomas. You're doing the right thing. Because again, and I'm gonna reiterate it again, men should not be in women's sports. No, that's not hatred. That's not me hating. That's not me being homophobic. That's not me. Oh, you hate the community. No, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. That ain't got shit to do with nothing. It's simply standing on facts. It's simply standing on what is. You are a man. No matter how much medication you take, big dog, take all the medication you want to make them estrogen levels rise. Still a man. Still a man, big dog. And you shouldn't be in women's sports. If you really want to compete, you really want to be a competitive swimmer, and you want to truly earn those titles, go and compete where you're supposed to. And that's not in the female. That's not with the females. That's with the other guys. Go and compete with them. Then if you win, then hey, I beat them out. I beat everybody out. I think that's sucker work. You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like the guys who are in the NBA. There was a question that was asked, and I think it was on Gil's Arena. And Gil's Arena asked the question. He said, I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was Gil's Arena who asked the question or the host, whichever one. But the question was, would you prefer to make, I'm not sure the amount, so I'm just going to make up a random number because I'm paraphrasing here. Would you rather make $260 million, be a starter, scoring 30 plus points a game, but you never win a ring? Or would you be a person, or would you rather not be an impact player, meaning you're riding the oak, you're not really getting much playing time, you're not getting that much playing time, you're not really being impactful of the team. And if you do get in, it's probably the last 1 to 2 minutes of the game, but you get a ring. Which one would you rather be? Two individuals, I believe it was Rashad McCants and Swaggy. They said, I would rather get the ring. But Gil's Arena and Brandon Jennings said, hell nah, give me the 260 mil without the ring. Because that lets me know I'm still that dude. I just hadn't won the ring yet, so I'll take the money versus taking just the ring. And so the way that I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking the money. I'm not taking the ring. Fuck that. Because I still didn't earn it. I'm riding the bench. I didn't put it forth. I didn't necessarily contribute when it mattered. Why would I want to just sit around? Yeah, I got the ring, bro. Don't nobody remember you. Don't nobody remember that you was on the bench riding the oak and you got a championship ring. Don't nobody give a fuck. But I guarantee you they remember the person who got 260 mil, who was scoring 30 plus points a game, who was a starter. I guarantee they're gonna remember that. Because beforehand, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Do we remember until before the podcast came out? Who do we remember more? Agent Zero or Rashad McCants? Who? When you put both of them up together, do you remember Swaggy or do you remember Gil? Or do you remember Gil's Arena? I mean, do you remember Gilbert Arenas? Who? Gilbert Arenas. More times than not. What are we talking about? Because before there was Stephen Curry, there was Gilbert Arenas. But hey, I just went off on a tangent on that. Look, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell.